we have a podcast.
Diving deep into all things Texans, both on and off the field. Here's Sean Pendergast and Pro Football Hall of Famer, the General, John McClain. Welcome to Houtopia.
As far as things that we've seen out at training camp so far, particularly today, John, with the pads on, if we were doing stock up and stock down like you and I do during the regular season from time to time, give me the player. When I say stock up, what player immediately jumps into your head out of Texans training camp?
Will Anderson Jr., favored to be NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year. I asked him how much he weighs. I'm going to start asking everybody. He's 17 pounds heavier than he's listed. They still give us weights from college for some reason. I don't know why. So he said he's 260. And some of that had to do with playing defensive end. It's all muscle. He said he feels great. We see he looks great. He's so explosive. He's very strong at the point of attack because he's got powerful hands. He's got moves. D'Amico Ryans used the word relentless. You know, he's mad when he has to give up a rep to somebody else. It shouldn't take him long if he's not already the Texans' best defensive player.
Yeah, he looks every bit. 5 practices in, John, and again, 4 of them with no pads, so take that for what it's worth. But I would say 2 things. One, you mentioned it, favored for Defensive Rookie of the Year. He's done nothing so far that I've seen at any point in his time as a Texan, the last week or the spring season, to where he should be moved off of that tier that he's on in those odds. I think the second thing I would say is that you can just see all the reasons the Texans liked him so much, both on the field, at the microphone, amongst his teammates, the way he interacts with everybody. You can see why they gave up so much draft capital to go get the guy. He's got a very, very magnetic personality, and he's got a game that is very violent. And I mean that in a good way. Christian
Harris, their second-year linebacker, said when he showed up in Tuscaloosa at the first practice, he was dominant right then. He said we could see he was a dog then, and he's a dog now.
Yep, I like these Alabama guys, John. I hope they just keep drafting Alabama guys between Christian Harris, Toa, Mechie. And Mechie, John, as long as we're stock up, I'll throw John Mechie out there for you. Mechie he's done some nice things. I think, early on here, the fact that he's out there and looks like the furthest thing from somebody who was suffering from cancer this time last year. Would you say Mechie so far has been, I don't want to say a surprise, but he's been just a pleasant guy to watch do his thing out there at camp so far.
Yeah, he hadn't stood out like a lot of other players had. It was unfair to expect him to because he also was recovering from a torn ACL. Yeah. It's almost like that didn't even exist, and we know how hard that is by itself. And
he missed spring. John, he missed spring too because he had a hamstring in the spring. So he's you're right. He's behind right now.
They've got him catching some punts, and but we know it's only a matter of time before he provides big plays. Right now, the only receiver they have who's capable of scoring anytime he touches the ball is a rookie, Tank Dell, which says a lot about him, but also says a lot about everybody else. They don't have any home run hitters. And that's not going to be great for Stroud's development. But he's going to feel comfortable with Mechie when he's on the field because they know each other. They were teammates. It's funny because they always talk about Georgia players at Philadelphia. It's only a matter of time before Toa is starting with Christian Harris, and they'll both be behind Will Anderson Jr. Do the Eagles have 3 Georgia starters in their front 7? They might. I don't think they have more. They might have a guy in the secondary, but that's what it's coming down to. Eagles and Crimson Tide.
Yeah. You mentioned Tank Dell, John. I would have him as a stock up right now. He's the one guy. He's getting open more than any of the other receivers right now, the rookie out of Houston.
He's 5'8", 165. They list him 5'10". He hasn't grown 2 inches since the combine. And I'm doing a column on him this week, and I was watching him catch punts. They have 4 guys back there catching punts. I'm going to guess cornerback Desmond King, who did it last year, will be the guy. But once Dell proves to them that he can catch the ball on punts at anywhere they kick it, it's only a matter of time he's on the field because that first step is so quick. And he can play inside or outside as receiver. And I keep comparing him to a gnat or hummingbird just because of that quickness. And his practice on Sunday was outstanding. Then he had another good one on Monday. We can't say he's a surprise because we saw him at the University of Houston, set all kind of records, and he's so confident. He has no reservations at all. He knows he's going to play at some point. He's going to be a big play receiver for C.J. Stroud. Who doesn't like Tank Dell?
Aside from Will Anderson, John, you got any stock ups on the defensive side of the ball for this team right now?
I think Derek Stingley's done really well. Derek Stingley had an interception on Monday, returning for a touchdown. He's talked about getting up on receivers more than he did. He was misused last year. I asked him if he paid attention to all the pub that Sauce Gardner was getting last year, and he said good for him. He's a great player, but deep down, he wants some of that. He was taking one spot ahead of him, only third corner in history to be taken as high as number 3. And he missed 8 games of the injury and hamstring injury. So he looks good. He said he hit the weights all over the offseason. Says he weighs the same, but man, he looks physical and he looks like he can cover. He can be a lockdown receiver, is what you should be if you're the 3rd overall pick.
Yep. How about Blake Cashman, John? 3 interceptions the last 2 days from that middle linebacker position.
Cashman, who was with the team for the first time last year, made it, got a lot of playing time. He's looked really good. It seems like that he has really adjusted to D'Amico Ryans' defense. And those guys like to drop into coverage. They want to get their pass rush with the front 4 and drop. And Cashman showed last year in Lovie Smith's system that he can drop and cover. He might be their most underrated player. And there's nothing underrated about him the last 2 practices based on what he's done on the field.
John, if we were doing stock down, you got any stock downs right now for this team?
Well, it's so early. I can't, Sheldon Rankins, defensive tackle. He finally came in and practiced. He was on non-football injury. Then he didn't report for the all-season program other than the mandatory mini camp. Coaches couldn't like that. They're first-time coaches, first-time coordinator, first-time coaches here. And they're counting on him a lot to start next to Malik Willis and help improve the NFL's worst running game.
Yeah.
Now, he may be first-team All-Pro. He may go to the Hall of Fame. But right now, he's got to be behind because he's missed so much time. So, to me, he's got a lot of making up to do because of the time he's missed.
I would say 2 things. One, I would say the offensive line just has underwhelmed, I think, in some of these drills compared to the defense. Again, they've had one practice where they're actually allowed to hit guys. So take it with a grain of salt. This is just factual. Health at the tight end position is kind of an issue early on here in camp. Dalton Schultz took a pop from Jimmy Ward on Sunday at practice. With no pads on, that he was down for quite a while. He ultimately got back up. It looks like he's going to be okay. Brevin Jordan missed the practice today. I'd go stock down on Brevin Jordan. I don't know that he makes the team this time around because they brought in Tomlinson as a free agent. We know Tegan Catoriano is a kid that they like. He's on the PUP list right now. John, that's 3 tight ends right now in that rotation. Probably, I would argue 2 of them were your top tight ends coming into the preseason here in Schultz and Catoriano. So I would just say stock down the health of the tight end position right now. Anything when you got a rookie quarterback in a complicated system and you're trying to acclimate him, anything where you've got just a cluster of injuries at one spot, especially the spot that is like a security blanket for a young quarterback, those are incremental little things that hinder development.
Those are good points, and hopefully they're getting it out of their system. They said Schultz is okay. Still don't know what the deal is with Catoriano, other than they're counting on him a lot. But you knew when they brought in Tomlinson again, they had him, I think, last year, that there's a reason for that because they already had Schultz, Catoriano, and Jordan. So if everything was hunky-dory with those 3, Tomlinson wouldn't be back here. They got Mason Strinke was here last year as well. So they need that for a reason. Just another thing, offensive tackle, Charlie Heck is the 3rd tackle. Mm-hmm. He's been the 3rd tackle. This will be for 3 years. He's got a knee injury. He can't work out. They signed George Fant. So I'm curious, 2nd-year guys, Austin Deculus, There's a rookie out there. Is it Alien?
Zaire, something like that.
Zaire. He's a backup left tackle behind Laramie Tunsil.
Yeah.
It was Michael Dieter working over there in training camp. Those inside guys got to be able to play two positions. They got Juice Scruggs, rookie guard and center. They got Jarrett Patterson, rookie guard and center. Dieter, tackle and guard, because they're going to be active on game day. They got to be able to play more than one position. But you're right. They got a lot of improving to do. And if they don't get Charlie Heck back for the start of the season healthy, then there's going to be a big competition for the third tackle.
Yeah. Dan, Charlie's in a contract year too. You know, he's been a solid backup for this team. So we'll see what happens with that. All right, John, we'll get to